1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey everybody, this is Michelle.
And this is Julie, and we are coming to you today from the lovely cabin in Yelm, where we have a wonderful guest here with us. And I don't know if I should just get into it or if I should just tell a little story about her or something.
So we're not in the Emerald City.
Dude, no
Today.
Emerald City.
What is it?
We're south of Tacoma.
Way south.
Way south. We're in Yelm, Washington, and we're right by Clear Lake. And this is just a little place that it's
beautiful.
Yeah, it's really peaceful and beautiful. Here. Little A-frame. But we have a friend, a dear, dear, dear friend of mine here today. Michelle just met her today. And her name is Jennifer Brazier.
Hello.
Jennifer and I go way, way, way back. I think we might do an episode someday about our days at Nordstrom.
Oh, gosh. Is profanity allowed?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, profanity's allowed. There's a lot of that. But just back in the day, you know, Jennifer and I met when we worked in LP at Nordstrom. And she was the agent in the South that I had to always beat. And then I never did. I don't think I ever beat her, but she was always out there. And then we worked together in the rack division before we left. So there's a lot of time in between there because we were both there for a long time, but traveled together. She knows all my little quirks.
Oh, you guys.
There are a few.
I want some wine.
There is.
You brought that back when you said that about the cashews.
Get me some cashews. I need some key lime pie.
Some coconut shrimp.
Yes.
Coconut shrimp.
Chocolate.
Yeah. So Jennifer is here today because we've invited Jennifer to be here and we're so excited that she accepted. She is a medium and an evidential medium where she'll get into all of this and kind of explain a little bit, but we are really, really excited to have her here and really just learn a little bit about what she does. And then I think she's going to be doing maybe a little bit of a reading for us, depending upon what comes through to her. So we're just going to go with what we got, take it from there. So
sounds
Jennifer,
good.
Yeah.
I am thrilled to be here. And you are right. We are in a place that's stunning.
Thank you.
Beautiful here. It is a very blue afternoon. We're starting to get into the summer. And so meeting with both of you ladies, it's filling my heart today.
Aww.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
I love talking about my work. I am, as Julie said, an evidential medium. And that means that I get evidence, evidential information or factual information about those that have walked this earth. I don't get information about like angels or demons or anything like that. It's going to be your loved ones, you know, your family, your friends, just letting you know that they were around us. So that's what I do. And I love it. And I can't wait to share a little bit about it today.
Yeah. I have just an initial quick question because I have a feeling this might come up. You had mentioned where you really focus on love and the loved ones that have crossed the veil, I think is what someone had told me. What do you do if you have things that are coming at you that are not necessarily love and light? Or do you even have those things coming at you because you've blocked them?
I wouldn't use the word block because, you know, everybody has some sort of negative going on in their life or their world. But with working with energy, and that's what I do, is that I'm able to feel when something feels uncomfortable to me or if it's uncomfortable for somebody else. And so I just honor that. And my intention for doing this work is to always come from a place of love and to ensure that whomever I'm working with is receiving something that's going to help them, you know, maybe give them clarity in their life or just know that they deserve happiness. And I know you use the word the veil. I use that in the very beginning, but I really like to use the word home.
Okay.
And this is what I've learned from doing this work for the last 23 years, that those that communicate with me are in a place that we've all been before. And I've also learned that there isn't, you know, we all are going to come to this place that we call the physical earth or world, and then we all leave and we go back to where we came from. So I know we all have a home and an address, but in reality, our home is somewhere else. Now, where is that? I honestly don't know. Is it out in the universe? Possibly. I don't know. I do understand that I'm not given a lot of information because I don't know if I could probably understand it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do you remember how old you were when you started really kind of getting a feeling like you knew some of these extra special, you said you don't like to use the word gifts, but when you knew that you had this, I don't want to say gift, I don't know what else to say, but you could do these things and talk to different people or get messages from
Did you
people.
know did you know that was different about you?
No, I did not know I was different when I was younger.
Did you think everybody was experiencing that?
Exactly, because my siblings, my brothers, also would have visitors. So we'd always communicate and talk about, oh, so-and-so's here, or this is taking place. So I just honestly grew up assuming everybody had this until I was probably about maybe 8 years old. And I had some men coming and visiting. My father was in the war over in Vietnam. And I would have some soldiers that would appear and I could physically see them outside of me. And they would be holding the trifold of the flag standing in front of me. They were wearing the same clothes as what my father would wear, the same like fatigues. And they wore the same glasses as him. And they gave me a feeling that my dad was all right.
Okay.
And so that's how it all began. And that's honestly, that's my very first memory of knowing these men were letting me know my dad's okay.
Was he a pilot?
No, my father was not
So
a
the
pilot.
glasses that you're talking about?
Oh, no. His glasses, they have military issued glasses. They're these black plastic kind of, they may be cool looking now, but they're kind of funky
like
back
Clark
then.
Kent glasses or something.
Exactly. So as I grew up, as I started to get older and I'm in school and I'm around, my friends, and I would know things about them. I would know like, okay, she's cheating in school. Oh, do you know that your dad is cheating on your mom?
Wow.
But I had no filter. I had no idea. And so I quickly learned that I didn't have a lot of friends. And if I did have friends, it felt fake. And so I use that word, I will use the word fake because it's kind of led me to where I am now, is that I can't tolerate people or situations or things that are fake or phony or not absolute, that they're trying to be something that is not real. But I learned that by not sharing this information about what was going on with other people, I started to get friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, that's rough. I mean, here you're a girl. Like I shared, my father was in the military. We moved quite a bit when I was younger, so I didn't settle until I was in junior high. And when I did finally settle in junior high, I realized I'm not going to tell people what I know or what I feel about them. And I know I use the word feel very, I push on that word because I feel a lot. I can feel when people are happy or sad or, maybe they're sick.
Was that hard to not share, or did it, because of the age you were, in some ways make it easier because you then had friends? I suppose there was hard and
you have to be careful, I would suppose,
balance
about what you were sharing.
Yeah, there's kind of a balance there, but I didn't realize I was learning to do that.
Yeah.
My mother had a conversation with me one day and said, you're just way too sensitive. You take everything too serious. You've got to harden up. And I'm still to this day, I'm extremely sensitive. My feelings get hurt. I cry over the simplest things and I feel love at a deep level. Mm-hmm. And my mom then said to me, she said, you have got to quit telling people these stories. And I realized at that moment I hurt my mom.
By telling the stories? Because she
she
wasn't able to explain it to other people?
Exactly. So my mom, in her loving way, and I know she was doing what she thought was best for me, is, asked me not to share with, other people what I saw or what I felt. And then she started to cry. And I realized that I just hurt the person that I probably loved the most. And so I learned at that point that really to pull in what I was feeling. Fast forward, I'm, 15, 16, 17, I'm very aware of what's going on around me. And I learned to not deal with the feelings by either working out. I started doing things very excessively. I found drinking, I found working out, I found all different things that would not allow me to feel. So fast forward from my teens, I'm, coasting along in my 20s and my 30s. Everything's going, I guess, as it should. And I had this moment that it was like out of the clear. And I just sat down one day and I thought, I've got everything I'd possibly want. I got a man that loves me. I've got an incredible job. I have friends that I've got everything. But I felt so alone.
Interesting.
Oh, it's going to make me
Oh,
cry.
yeah.
It's okay.
That's big stuff.
Because you hadn't shared really what your true self was with a lot of people.
Exactly. I wasn't being authentic. I wasn't really being who I was. I was being fake.
Yeah.
I was pretending. I was putting on lipstick when it was the wrong color.
Okay.
I was wearing clothes that didn't fit.
And it makes you uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It really did. And, I tried to surround myself with people that I felt comfortable with, but I never, ever really let anybody know who I was. I did that to protect myself, but also I didn't know if they'd reject me. So
Had you run across situations as an adult where you had maybe tried to share a little bit of that and people looked at you like,
oh, yes.
okay,
Oh,
and that's
yes.
where the rejection part was probably coming from?
Well, I grew up in an area that when you talk about people that are psychic or intuitive, they think of this culture, which, they're from, and please, I'm talking out of my own knowledge here, but Romanian, they call them gypsies. And so I thought, well, I'm not like them, but I'm able to understand kind of what they do. Now, I've got a strong opinion on that group of people because they're manipulating. But that day that I sat there and I said, I'm ready for me to do what I'm supposed to do. No matter how painful it is, I'm ready to do this. And it was as if within 24 hours, life started just changing for me really quick. I knew that the job I was in, I had to get out of it. And I knew that whatever I had to do, I had to get out of it. And I knew that I had to trust. And that's the big word, you guys, trust. And when you trust yourself, you're not going to be wrong. I had to trust that I had to let go of being unauthentic, being fake. So
You were dealing with a lot of, I was there at the time, but you were dealing with a lot of people that were not very real with you too, and you were having to kind of navigate a lot of that. You were finding your truth. I remember very specifically, you were finding your truth, but you were dealing with people that had a different agenda or had a different truth, whatever the case may be. And it was a very difficult struggle because you put yourself first.
right. It was, but I also have to say that even though that may have been, some of the hardest times of my life,
They were good in a lot of ways.
oh, I'm so proud of what I did. I mean, I ended up no longer working there, but
You spoke.
Oh yeah, I did. And I felt empowered. I felt strong. And I knew that there'd be repercussions. And I didn't care. And that's not how I ever lived my life. I was worried what other people would think. So I love doing this work now because people will come and sit with me or work with me or listen to what's going on because they have an interest.
Yeah.
So it fills me to know that other people are curious. And I know so many of us were raised in, particular religions or, modalities or cultures that a lot of this, it's not talked about. You don't talk about this.
You don't talk about
Yet
it.
another topic that people don't talk about.
We ran across a lot of those.
Yeah. Wow. But you're right. People don't talk about it. I went and saw a medium a few years back, and I just remember sharing that with some people, and they were like looking at me like I was crazy. Like, what are you doing that for?
The more that you understand what somebody that is spiritual does, it comes from a place of, like if I want to use metaphorically open arms, it's like, let's sit down and talk.
Yeah.
So with somebody like myself that I'm able to understand energy, and that's the word that, I understand energy, I can interpret it. I also know a little bit of how to manipulate it. That is what my abilities are. And that's where people will call, oh, you're gifted. Oh, I'm not. You guys, I am no more gifted than anybody else. Every one of you out there has something that is extraordinary. But we sometimes sell ourselves short or stop ourselves because we'll let somebody else down. Maybe it's you went to school and now you got this education and you're like, well, I don't even like doing this anymore. Or you've been in a marriage and you're like, we've changed. How do I get out of this? There's so many things that happen to us, and it's called life. And life can be so freaking beautiful, but it can be so hard. And my hope is that, all of you that are listening to this is that it isn't going to be what happens to you. It's going to be how you respond to it, how you handle it. And we can be a victim, blame it on somebody else. That's so easy, isn't it?
Totally.
Oh, or you could be a martyr and say, hey, I guess I deserve that. That should have happened to me. And that's crap.
Yeah.
That is horrible. Please, no one ever think you deserve anything that's negative. Or you can choose, how am I benefiting from this? How am I learning? How am I growing? How can I help somebody else? So I really try to choose that consciously every day. I'm human, though. I mean, come on. I'm
We all
human.
are, yeah. It's not like you put yourself in harm's way intentionally to learn a lesson, but things are, no, I say harm's way, I just mean like difficult situations, whatever they are. But if they've presented themselves and you have no control really over that, it's what you take out of it. And I suppose you can start, it depends on the person, but you start by, oh gosh, how can this happen? Oh, woe is me. Oh, I'm a victim. Or what am I going to take from that so I know what to do or not to do in the future. And maybe that's the full circle cycle people go through. I mean, I've been there. So.
Or how to help somebody else.
Right. I think it helps us learn, or we keep repeating it. It's like being in the same relationship, going to the same sort of jobs when you're not happy, doing the same thing with your kids that you know it's not healthy for them. It's really going, I've got to do something different. And gosh, change is hard. I mean, it's hard.
It can be scary.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it is. It can be very scary.
What was it like making that decision?
I felt very good. I felt strong, and I was very curious where I was going to go, how this was going to unfold. And I had, like I mentioned, within a couple hours, couple days, I started having some really big, what I call signs that I knew, like, well, this is random. This is a coincidence. How is this happening? And I just chose to keep moving forward with that.
Any immediate regrets, like making that decision and then how you were talking about things started happening very quickly? Like, did you ever go,
Oh, it's too quick.
maybe this wasn't a good idea?
Only one time, and it lasted for probably 1 hour, that I was like, I made a really poor decision here. And it's because I spoke up about something and I said something to somebody that I don't think anybody really thought I'd say it. And it was done for the fact that I was trying to talk for other people, which I don't know if I should have, but I did. And I knew I was going to lose my job. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. And ultimately I do lose my job under the guise of something else. But it's the day that I lost my job, or the day that I was told that my job was eliminated. I was told that I had a couple options of what I want, some other options.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, I don't want these options. I heard a voice so loud to me going, ask for the severance package. And I knew it wasn't me. I was like, and the person that's talking to me says, I don't have one for you. And I said, yes, you do. And he says, no, we don't. We need you to go into this other role. And so I demanded it with a very hard F word. And he said, he kind of looked at me and he says, I do have it. And he pulled it out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yes.
She played poker.
Good for you, girl.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I ended up getting a severance package, which really was very helpful, because that got me to school. And I went to a school over in England that worked with individuals that have abilities, just to kind of clarify and to groom us and grow us. And so I have been over to the school. Gosh, I think I've been there 7 times now. It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life when I go there. It's very emotional, stressful, but oh my gosh, it's so rewarding. So rewarding.
Is it like a medium school?
Well, it's called the Psychic Science School, and it's in Stansted, England.
Okay. Do people come from all over the world?
Exactly. Yes. So, but going back to your question about a regret, is that the day that I had to make the decision, I had to call and say if I was going to stay or not stay. And I already knew I wasn't going to stay. But when I called, this person wouldn't accept it. And
That you were going to leave?
Correct. And it was like this person wouldn't let me say what I needed to say. And I almost found myself agreeing with him to say, I think I should stay. I think I should. Because he was telling me, what are you going to do? No one's. And I had shared with him my abilities, and he flat out told me that I was a demon and that I was a witch. And that, he gave me his, and then he just kind of laughs at me. And I don't know, maybe it fueled me in a way.
Yeah.
But I trusted that I was doing the right thing. And I don't know, since then, I don't think anybody's ever told me I'm a witch.
Powerful witch. Yeah.
I've been called a bitch before, but not a witch.
And this, where does the word medium come from? I use it. I know what it is. I know what it's referenced to, but where does that come from?
The word medium is, so I want you to kind of imagine that we've got you, let's say you're the client, and I am going to be your medium, and I will be connecting with the soul of your loved one.
Okay.
And so by connecting with the soul and feeling their soul, they start to give someone like myself like visual cues. I may see symbols. I may get feelings, smells, tastes. And then I start sharing that information with you, the recipient, and you're like, yes, I know who this is, or no, I don't know. You'll be able to, you start sharing the understanding.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the medium starts to heighten their energy and then pulls your energy, and I connect, or someone like myself, we connect you together.
Okay.
So I'm pulling, they're blending with my soul, I'm blending with your soul, and then I blend both of you to soul. So I'm just the in between.
The in between, the medium.
Yeah, I'm the medium. Yeah. That's where that comes from. Yeah.
I like that. Just to hear that explanation just kind of gives you a visual.
Like the conduit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the communicator for both parties.
Yeah.
It's kind of what it is.
I was going to call you escrow, but
Oh, there you go. Escrow.
Customer service. Customer service. You. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, yeah.
That is. I am the customer
Interesting.
service or the operator.
Yeah.
operator Jennifer.
How can I direct your call?
Oh boy. Yeah. Exactly.
You can tell we all worked for the big same company, huh?
The big N
The big N. Yeah.
We worked in a major retail company.
in Seattle.
The flags.
The flagship. But we have stories that we've never shared.
Haven't y'all been at LP when she said that? Because you were at LP together. That's grounds enough to know that I'm sure there are plenty of good stories.
Oh my God. Even
Yeah.
back in the day, Jennifer would, like, you said you smoked in the dressing room. They did that in the dressing room. Remember they had ashtrays in there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's things that I think
It's
the customers. Yeah, it's changed, you guys. That was 20
Something.
maybe.
Okay, honey.
Yeah, I was going to say
30s.
more.
Oh my God. I was a baby then.
Me too.
It was my summer job that turned into a career.
I know.
It really was.
We had so much fun though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It ran its course. The fun ran its course.
It did, but there's so much that I learned out of that.
I know. And you know what? The gift, okay, what you've learned and everything that you've learned about yourself, and you really had to suppress a lot of that, because even as much as we worked together and as close as we were at work, we were together all the time. She didn't tell me. But she always knew shit. She always knew something, or she'd say something, and it all kind of comes back to me now. Just little things that would just come out of her, and I'd be kind of like, where'd she know that from? But now I know why. And she finally did explain to me, and I can tell you exactly where we were when you told me.
We were in a conference room and I bawled.
Yeah.
I was so nervous to tell Julie.
I know. And like, I'm very, I welcomed it. I was curious. I didn't know anything about it, but that's the thing. If people don't really know what you're talking about, of course they're going to be apprehensive.
I
probably.
think it's amazing.
I do too.
But that's you use the term evidential medium.
Oh yeah. Explain that.
And yeah, so maybe explain that a little bit more, because I think that's pretty key when it comes to what we're just talking about, maybe people that are skeptical.
So in evidential, there's different types of mediums. There are healing mediums that, they do prayer and they work with you. Remember, let's go back to a medium as somebody that's able to connect with the unseen world.
Right.
So there's healers, there's artists that the spirit world will come to them and they can draw pictures of them. There are people that write songs that are mediums. They receive these downloads of music. This beautiful art may come through them. Also, there are individuals that, doctors, dentists, that they get information and they're like, I don't know where I'm getting this, but as they put it into practice, it's working. Now, where are they getting that information? I don't know. I really don't know. But in my line of work as an evidentialist, I bring the evidence through by possibly giving their name, giving dates, giving personality, what they did for a living, giving those absolutes. And I always, when I do this work, you guys, is that I always ask the spirit world, please give me information that's going to be unique, kind of crazy. I always say, let's make us laugh. And because I want to remove the fact that people will say, oh, Jennifer, you Googled that about me.
Right.
Or you were able to go look in a yearbook and knew that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to do that. And if I did, I probably get it messed up and call you the wrong thing. So no.
See, that's exactly some of the stuff that people said to me when I said that I went to the medium, and I was telling them some of the things that,
Like your one sister.
Yeah.
She was, I mean, very scientific in her thought process, but she said, oh, they could have
Googled that information.
Googled that. She
Like,
even
really?
said that.
That was my, anyways.
A lot of times people don't even give me their real names, or they'll give me, I've had people give me fake email address because they'll do anything so I don't know who they are. So when I work with them, and what I love about working with the spirit world is that they'll call them out, and I'll say, well, I know Michelle. And then I'll go, Michelle's not your real name. Do you go by another name? No. I says, well, I keep hearing the name Renee. Oh, well, that's I was born Renee.
You're all just, yeah, small detail.
Yeah. And so I always kind of laugh because, our loved ones are intelligent where they're at. The spirit world, it has far more understanding than what we can even grasp here. And they've shared in my readings and my classes is that I've learned that the spirit world, a lot of the information they can't give to us because we aren't in a place that we could really be able to articulate it, handle it emotionally, mentally, physically. And one of the key things that got me early on was that, especially with those that leave their own life, suicide, that, where do they go? And I've heard so many stories about that, they go into limbo, they go to this place called hell. There's so much suffering for them. And my goodness, across the board, I've probably read, I'm not making maybe 5,000, 6,000 people that have had suicides in their family. And not one of them said, oh, I got pulled to hell. I went out in limbo. Not one of them.
Yeah.
And that just felt so good to me. It's like, wow, people need to know that, because us that are still here, that we've lost friends and family to suicide. Oh my gosh.
They were so tortured when they were here that they chose to take their life. So why would they be tortured
If we have a loving God.
Exactly. Yeah. I've always wondered about that too. I mean, in structured religion, we talk about the heaven and the hell and the purgatory. I think we were talking about purgatory the other day. And, I always kind of wonder about that, because when you see people that have chosen to leave this world, it absolutely breaks my heart, because that they were they just didn't feel like they had any other choice for whatever reason. I mean, I don't conceptually, that doesn't make sense to me, but I know that everybody's different, and you could be so severely depressed that things like that could happen. It happened with one of my children, where that was something that they were talking about, and it scared the hell out of me. Oh. But you can't really put yourself in those shoes. So I would worry that if someone had done that, had made that decision. I don't know why Robin Williams keeps coming to mind, but I don't even know if it was suicide or what it was.
It was.
And
someone said it was like erotic fixation, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. He's gone. Or Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain. I think that's, yeah.
Well, it's just like, they were just so
tortured, suffering.
And it's like, there's nothing that nobody could do for them in this human world, and they've made that choice. But does that make them go to a horrible place? I can't imagine that it would.
To that point, I think also maybe they're thinking they're going to a wonderful place, much better than what they're feeling here.
But structured religion doesn't tell you that. It tells you you're going to hell if that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like my brother, he's mentally ill. He's a wonderful soul. He's a tortured soul in a lot of ways, but very, very sweet man, very innocent. But he has said to me, I don't know why I'm even here. If it wasn't a sin, I would be gone.
Oh my goodness.
He has said that.
That is just,
and
but someone's taught him that, and that teaching is,
it's his religion. He's very focused on his religion, very focused on his God. He reads the Bible a whole bit. It's just, that's the only thing really he has, I think, that keeps him kind of comfortable, because he's kind of a recluse.
It's the thou shalt not kill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're killing yourself.
Also, where I started this with is that the spirit world has said that if everyone knew that those that take their own lives were free of the pain or the whatever's going on in their life, and they have to go through healing, and there's some forgiveness they've got to go through, and they understand all the wreckage they caused with us. But they're now free of whatever that pain was.
Yeah.
Right.
That we'd all be exiting our physical bodies. So I think that a lot that we would know about back home, we won't get because we'd all be like, I got to go back now. One thing that I think, I got to share this, is one thing that I think is really cool is that there are two things that we have in our world here. Well, two emotions, two strong emotions. And the first one is love. And the second one is fear. We are always going to make decisions and respond out of either love or we're going to respond out of fear. And back home, there's no fear. It's all love. So they hold no anger, no malice. There's none of that going on. They have a higher intelligence of realizing that fear is what our physical body has.
Okay.
So if we knew, really accepted and trusted that we don't need to live in that fear state, that we are good enough, maybe we're different, maybe we're whatever, religion, our cultures, our skin color, our eye color, whatever our beliefs. At the end of the day, we all go back to the same place.
And that's the home that you're referring to
Yes.
when you say back home.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just have this picture in my head of home, like you're talking about, and it being like, obviously there's massive amounts of souls there, but are they souls that are in the body that they were when they left? Or are they souls that, I mean, we're talking back to caveman days, right? I mean, there's like millions and millions and millions of people,
Right.
souls that are floating around out there. But do they have the same level of, I want to say intelligence, but understanding, even though they maybe had been disabled, not mentally, maybe they weren't mentally stable, or they were not, maybe they were in a coma, you know,
Right.
all those kinds of
Right.
things. Do they, when they get there, wherever they're going,
Are all those things gone?
yeah.
And are they
then
100% whole?
They are 100% whole. They hold none of those disabilities or limitations. Those are here in this world here so that we can learn to live through whatever these limitations are, addictions or frustrations or losses. It's all happens to us not because we deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening to us so that we can expand our love. I know that sounds so Oprah-like or so woo-woo, but
Did she say woo woo?
She said woo woo. Woo.
It's hard to conceptualize for me. It's just like I have to, of course, for visual, right? So I think, okay, are they like these little orbs floating around?
Are you wondering if they look the same?
Yeah.
As like,
thinking
am I
like-
going to recognize you as Jules?
Like, are you going to be an orb, and then I'm going to know that's Michelle?
no,
you know
I
what I mean?
think. Well, I have my
what
own.
do you think?
I think we recognize each other. And I guess I just bring it back to when I've seen, someone that has passed on, moved on and gone home. And you see them and you can tell it's them, but they do not look the same
Their soul's
because
gone.
their soul is gone.
Yep.
So with that, I think we will recognize them in that way, truly based on who they are and what that soul is.
You'll recognize the soul. And I use the word the essence of the soul because the essence itself is unique to each one of us.
Yeah.
It carries with it all of its personalities, all of its learnings from this life. But when we are back home, we are nothing but energy or we're pure energy.
Yeah.
Now, what is pure energy? It's probably, I don't know, it could be lights.
Okay.
Or it could be, honestly, I don't know. It could be mist. But I do know that when they show up to communicate with me, they are going to give me information that my recipient, their loved one, is going to recognize. So is it their hair color, the fact they're missing a tooth, all of that. So when we go home and we're ready to go back and meet with our loved ones that are, that are already over there, we will recognize them physically how we recognize them.
Yeah.
Then we will have the understanding of the enlightenment, all that.
Yeah.
So the souls, like, they can go back to physical form and keep going back to physical form.
Are you talking like reincarnation?
Yeah. You I
Now
leave.
that's a topic right there.
Is that a whole nother? Maybe
a
we get into
rabbit
that one
hole.
later. That's a rabbit hole. No, because it's like your soul's there, but it's like, when does it just stay there and not? And it's like, I'm good. I'm
And
chill.
live
I'm
that
just,
way forever.
Yeah, just kind of be there till eternity.
There are people like that. I would say like Mother Teresa, Jesus, Buddha, all of those that are highly evolved.
Okay.
I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to just say for us three, we got a lot more lifetimes.
I'm good with that.
And it's because we have more to, there's so much
learn.
more. And it's, if we can come from a place every day that we're trying to do right and serve other people every day without worrying what we receive back, oh my gosh, that's where we start to change. Now, I can tell you, me, Jennifer, just driving in traffic here today, I was already cussing and, driving in other people. I'm not evolved enough. I need to come back and worry about that, learn that.
Yeah.
So,
But it's like, if you were to come back, like you say, we're probably going to have lots of lives ahead of us, but you choose your parents, right? You choose your
yes.
parents. But why would you choose to live in a life where you're suffering?
Because there's a sense of higher knowing on the other side that suffering is going to help evolve you. If you knew, okay, I'm going to use this as an analogy. I don't know if anybody else is like me, but my life, I've always trying to find the secret bullet of losing weight. What is it? Is it a drink? Is it a potion? What is it, an exercise? What is it? So if I knew I could find that and I could get down to what I assume my ideal weight is, I think I'd be happy. Now, that's, in reality, that's not true, but there's something that I have been told, learned, or been around that said I need to be a certain whatever it is. So typically those are more evolved lives.
Okay.
And I'm going to use your brother as an example. Mm-hmm. And if I was to say, and I'm making this up, everyone, this is not fact, but let's just say there's 10 levels. Mm-hmm. And then when you hit the 11th level, you stay back home. Your brother is probably a 9.
Yeah.
It's because of, the hardships he has and, limitations. Now, somebody that has opulence in their life and things come easy and they're very surfacey, they're very down at the bottom. It's really those people that are willing to help. They're willing to heal. Those people are the ones that are moving up. Now, there's no judgment. If somebody can, if somebody is more giving than another or more open, we're all in different, we don't all graduate at the same time. We don't all finish this race at the same time. So, But you said something, Julie, that I thought I wanted to top on is reincarnation is, many religions are very open to that and they believe in that. There's some that are absolutely against it. This is just my opinion, everybody. So y'all, if I say something that you are like, this is not what I believe in, is that reincarnation is when our soul decides that it's time for it now to learn. Maybe it's time to get out of junior high and go to high school, or from high school to college. But there is a time that we are starting to ask for those harder classes.
Okay.
And so when we reincarnate, what I've learned is you are not going to reincarnate if your soul group is not home with you.
Okay.
So I want to say this to people because if you've lost children, you've lost your family, your loved ones, your spouse, your partners, your siblings, you're all going to come back together. Not people aren't going to go back home and go, I'm back down for another, 89 years. No. I really feel from my research and what I've learned is that you could be back home for 130, maybe 500 years before you come back. Now, I know there's stories out there and there's all sort of books that's been written on this. And I know that people do incarnate sooner than that. But we as a soul group, we made an agreement. Pinky swore to each other, I'm going to be there for you. I may have been the one that chose to be the bad spouse or the one that did something that you had to learn that you wouldn't put up with anymore. But ultimately, we all come back. And we do run into each other. Now, are we at a mall and I run into you or at Starbucks? I don't think so, but I don't know. Maybe we do. I know there's what they call the halls of learning. And the halls of learning are where we are, when we go back home, we continue to learn. Okay. So if you love science or you love art or you love whatever it is, you will go back to these halls and you will continue to learn what is going to be happening out in the future. Those souls that are in the halls of learnings are you guys, I'm going to go way out here. So please.
I'm with you.
Go for it.
We're with you.
Yeah. I'm just going to let you know that if I fall into the pool, someone throws something on me and pull me out. So those that are in these halls of learning and I'm going to just use the word medical. And so they're understanding these new medical ways. Maybe it has to do with curing horrific disease. Maybe it's COVID. I don't know.
No.
But we have these doctors and we have these individuals that are the ones that put into play, we got to try these new medication. We got to try these new, whatever it is for surgery or whatever. Where are they getting this information? They themselves are like, let's try this. The scientists, the doctors, the lawyers, they're getting information and you can say it's coming to them intuitively or it's coming to them in dreams. You've all heard, let's sleep on this tonight. We'll figure it out in the morning.
Yep.
When we get those hits that I call them, the hits, that information, you guys act on it. You're getting a push or a nudge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are all of the doctors or everybody getting all their information from the other side? I don't know that. I mean, I don't put me in a huge arena with that, but I think a lot of these brilliant ideas are really given from those on the other side that have a higher knowing.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, do you think that they okay, let's say you have someone who's on the other side that's home, that's giving some of these ideas to someone who's more has a scientific brain or more of, someone who's like my son, like Andrew, like a non-believer of a lot of these things, but they do it maybe in a different way. So it's more accepted.
Oh, yes. Julie, that's great. Yes.
Okay. That's kind of what I was thinking. Cause I struggle with that, like the openness that not me personally, but like with the one son I was talking about, more open. He's like your sister who would be, oh, they Googled that or they did this or that or the other thing because he's
skeptical.
Yeah, because he doesn't, it's almost like he can't handle the idea of it being any different.
I understand that. I know those people in my own life. It's because they're very linear thinking. They think from the left side of their brain, which is very logical. That's the part of our brain that tells us when to wake up, what to wear, how to be a good student, how to be successful at work. And then we have the other side of our brain, our right side of our brain, that we're creative and we play and we lose track of time.
It's spontaneous. Yeah.
So you got to have a mix of that. When somebody lives in that left side of their brain a lot, and that may be how their DNA is wired, it's hard for them to be open. And sometimes you just got to go, it's, you know what? It is what it is.
In his case, he's kind of partnered with somebody who I think has helped to open his thought process to other things.
Beautiful.
And that's maybe been the catalyst for him to be more open. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of cool.
In using that with your son, is that I constantly say the spirit world, but those that guide us, our helpers, our healers, those on the other side, they may know that he struggles with that. And so they knew that he'd have to have a friendship or relationship that would be able to open that up. And, or maybe it's a class someone takes, or they read something, watch a movie. How many times have you had people say, I watched a movie and it changed my life?
Yeah.
Well, and it goes, I just keep thinking that nothing happens to anyone by coincidence.
Absolutely.
I don't think coincidence is a thing.
Ever. So.
Well, you asked me, there's nothing random. There's no coincidence. There's no such thing as luck.
I think I might have learned that from you, actually. It's like the whole thing about coincidence. I remember being at different places. I think we were in Arizona with the girls and there were feathers around. And you and one other, I think it was Cleasy, noticed these feathers. And I'm like, I'm oblivious to the feathers, but the feathers meant something. But I'm like, am I just like completely out of this world and not paying attention to these signs that they're talking about?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, Julie. It's just I'm open to that. I ask every day. I ask.
I get what you mean, though, by paying attention and recognizing things that might seem really normal. I was just thinking about when I lived at the apartments.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, for about a week, there was a crow. I don't know if it was the same crow.
I remember that.
You remember that? Yeah. I was like, every time I looked out my window, I was driving in, it was walking across in front of me. It was flying. I would look out, it would be on the carport. Literally for a week, I was seeing this crow everywhere. I still don't know what it meant, but I knew it was something.
What did you think it meant?
At the time, I was just like, I didn't even.
Who were you thinking about?
I don't even remember. I really don't even remember. I just knew it was.
What does a crow like typically represent? Or is it just a bird?
I mean, it's a bird.
So if I chime in on that, it's not necessarily if it's a bird or a butterfly or a flea or a feather. Sometimes a feather is going to be a feather. A bird's going to be a bird. But if you're all of a sudden thinking, I'll use my father as an example, as my father's on the other side. So anytime I'm thinking about my dad, or I'm like, I wonder what my dad would have told me, or how would he
Yeah.
responded about this with me, I would see yellow butterfly. I mean, it would happen. And I'm not talking where I live in the Northwest. I'd be other places in the United States or even elsewhere. And I'd be thinking about my father, and there would be a yellow butterfly. Now, was that my dad? Absolutely not, you guys. That is
But
my
it's
dad.
a symbol or a sign of something.
So what it is, what I assume it is that if you go back to the basic concept that everything is energy, everything is energy. And so someone like myself as a medium, it's the energy of the soul I connect with. So I'm going to use my dad. Help me out here, Dad. Is that he had me thinking about him. So maybe I smelt something and I was like, oh my God, that's my dad, or God, whatever is going on in my mind. And then the butterfly goes by. I started associating that. And so we are creatures of habit. As soon as we keep doing something, it's like, okay, that's what it means. So it's just a way that they communicate with us. Now, I don't think the crow is really the bigger message. I know there's a message for, some people will say a raven means this, or a crow, or a robin.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dive into that because I don't know that, other than if something happens when you're thinking about them.
Yeah.
I always say, thank you, give me more.
Okay.
Thank you, give me more.
But yeah,
See, and I
hence
was
the paying
really
attention.
fixated. I'm fixated on the crow.
Right.
So to your point, I think that it's just the fact that there's something that's kind of coming in front of you
I do
consistently.
remember it was at a time, there was a lot of change going on in my life. So I was definitely
You think?
focused on, something. But yeah.
Well, there are different symbolization for that. And, the crow itself is, it's going to keep bugging you and bugging you and bugging you, and it'll scream at you. And, they'll even hurt their own.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was going on in your life during that time, but I would assume you're probably going through some transition,
Yes.
and maybe somebody had hurt you, or you were getting kind of I'm going to use the word a validation, like you're all right.
Yeah.
You're all right.
Yeah.
So,
But
It was kind of
recognizing.
your rebirth time frame too.
Yeah.
When you got your tattoo, and when
Yeah.
you're doing all your she's so funny. She does her social media posts that are so cool.
oh,
She's so good at it. I hand her my phone and say, "Can you please make a reel?"
But yeah, definitely transition time. But back to recognizing when things present themselves like that, and not just taking them as, what is this crow doing? Like Julie,
Right.
which is, what about the crow? But what is this about?
I always say, what were you thinking about when this happened?
Yeah.
Were you having a conversation in your mind? Were you having a memory? Were you sad? Were you excited?
Yeah.
And they're not going to just show up when you're in your, the lowest of lows. They also want to be around us when we're celebrating. They're there at weddings and graduations. They're there.
Yeah.
And people will say, well, how will I know they're there? Please, everyone, lean into how you feel. How do you feel? And if I was to say, how do you feel around your partner, your spouse, or how do you feel around your parents? It may be good or bad, but remember that feeling, because that's what they're going to continue to do.
I don't know if I want that.
I
or
was
not.
just thinking about you. I know.
That's a whole
Yeah.
other thing. I adore my mother. I really do. But
We all adore our mothers, but sometimes
you
moms
and I
are
have very
moms.
similar. Yeah, we have very similar thought processes on that, and I want to enjoy that time, but it at times feels very laborious, very overwhelming. She doesn't really have that with her mom. Her mom is like, it's weird because I've asked you questions.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a different topic
yeah.
altogether. But
Will we come to understand things when we go home that maybe we didn't understand here?
100%. We will have a higher understanding, knowledge of, let's say somebody was murdered,
The why behind things.
the why. And I love that you said that, because why is the most misused word in our vocabulary.
Yeah.
That when we use the word why, it evokes emotions.
yes,
And they're typically negative emotions. So if I was to say, why are you wearing that shirt? Why did you color your hair this color? You'd immediately go, oh, she doesn't like my
Right.
shirt. She doesn't like my hair. That's not what was said, but you picked up the energy of my words.
Yeah.
But if I was to say, oh, wow, where'd you get that shirt? You'd be like, oh, I got it at Nordstrom. Or where'd you get your hair done? Oh, I got it at, Nordstrom. So I don't think they do hair.
we
but
are
anyway.
conditioned, aren't we?
Yeah.
But we are conditioned. We are conditioned.
I mean, okay, that's a whole nother thing, but we were all there for many years. So it's like the thought process and how I do my work now is all based on service. It's all based on the things that I learned when I wasn't even selling. So I know what you're talking about. It definitely
creates who we are. I mean, it's like a school. It doesn't matter where you work or, who you're surrounding yourself with. You're starting to pick up those traits and those opinions and those feelings.
I mean, thank God for cultural diversity training. That's all I'm going to say, because where else would I have gotten it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think at our age that, when I say our age, that we're in this place. There's a lot that's happened, you guys, in the last, 10 years, 5 years. I'm enjoying it. I question a lot of it, but it's making me think different. And that's kind of like with my work. It's like, I have no worry now who I tell what I do. I would walk up to anybody and share what I do or how they can get help. But before, I felt I couldn't do that because I was worried they'd reject me, or they wouldn't like me, or they would make me feel less. And yes, those are feelings that I had felt before in my life. But I always say, man, if you know what you want to do in this world, don't let anyone or anything stop you. Keep going forward, because it's so easy just to sit still. Well,
and when you don't know what to do, sometimes you do sit still. You just become paralyzed.
I think too, based on, we had a conversation prior to sitting down, but I think too, there's things that go through your mind that maybe you should. And again, it's just like not ignoring what this crow showing up is all about. And why is it that you're thinking some of the things that maybe you should be doing or starting to consider.
I call those little nudges.
Yeah, the nudges that you're talking about.
You'll always get them. I always say that if you were to be doing something, maybe it's a new job, a new relation, whatever it is, buying real estate, if you feel you want to go forward, like physically find your body going forward, you're going on the right path. If you find yourself turning sideways, crossing your arms across your body, bending, crossing your face, stop, because it's not good for you.
Yeah.
And if you really listen to your body, you'll realize the people in your life that are not good for you. You will find that you're fighting with yourself to be in their energy.
Yeah.
And when you find somebody that you're like, oh my God, I love them. You may not even know them. They could be, 20 years younger than you, 30 years older than you. And you're just like, I just love you.
Yeah. It's interesting. You meet people and sometimes you can feel that and know that right off the bat. It's almost like we spent time together somewhere else.
Yeah. And I call that energy. That's going to be, that's what I spoon out of my little jar every day to everybody. It's all energy.
Yeah. I love that.
Isn't it funny? You say that and immediately what comes to mind is, of course, my mom, she's 89. And I have a client who's become a very close friend of mine that is 10 years younger than my mom. She's 79. And I adore her. I absolutely adore her. I help her with a lot of different things, but I just bring her coffee and we sit and chat and we talk. And I think it's like, she's a person that I have found that I absolutely just love. She feeds my soul.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. Please be around that person more.
Yeah, I adore her. She's like my adopted mom.
Realize that the people in your life that, and I'll speak for myself, that when I'm around certain family members or, in family members, I'll leave it at that group, I get anxious, I get irritated, I get frustrated, and I try to make any excuse that I don't want to be around them. And I have learned a couple things is, number one, just listen. I don't need to talk to them, meaning just listen to them. I don't need to tell them what to do or how to control them or tell them don't do this or why are you doing that? And the second thing is, what do I need? I mean, if I feel uncomfortable, then I don't need to go.
Right.
Feeling guilty somewhere or having someone make me feel less than what I am, I can do that to myself very well. I don't need
Do you think some of that might be apprehension about what you anticipate might happen?
Absolutely. That's learned.
Yeah.
That's learned.
Yeah.
But, acknowledging that is, I think we all have people in our lives. And so if you can find out, what is this? And, kind of lean into the fact is, what are they helping me with? And I've got a sibling that we are so different. I mean, so different, but we look so much alike that if you see us, you're like, oh, we know you two. But I don't know how our DNA came from the same parents. But I've now stopped in the last, probably it's been 2 years now. I'm like, what? I need to learn from her.
Yeah.
I don't need to teach her anymore. It's not about me being a teacher. It's about me being the student. And so as soon as I switch the role, I can sit with her for hours now.
Because you're looking at her from a completely different perspective.
Yeah, I'm not judging her anymore.
Right.
It's interesting because there's been certain situations in my life where I've chosen to step back and be more of an observer and a listener. I mean, I'm a listener in general. I don't talk very much,
I
believe
always
it or
know when
not.
I'm talking too much because she goes, a lot. I'm like, okay, I need to stop. I'm talking too much.
But definitely brings peace and puts
yeah.
a different perspective on things when you're stepping back and just, doing that.
I bring the word, and I love this word because it brings up water, flat water to me, but I bring up the word serenity. Oh my gosh.
Peace.
It's just, that calm. I mean, when we take care of ourselves and we do it in a place that we're not trying to hurt anybody else. I know we've got off the subject of mediumship
I
here,
know,
but
right?
but that's all right. I think that it needed to go in this direction. Yeah.
It's called a rabbit hole, but it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I have many rabbit holes.
I know we do too. We could go on for days about different rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But it all really ties back to the same thing. I mean, we're talking about how we communicate with others and how we communicate. And when we talk about others in this particular scenario, we're talking about others that are not physically here, but are in another place, home, like you're talking about, which honestly, as I talked about before, Jen, just gives me a level of comfort that I haven't had before, in the last couple of years when I've really thought about this and talked about it. And I don't have a lot of people that are on the other side or that are at home that I physically know and like have them deep in my heart. But it makes me feel good to know that it's like when one thing stops, another thing's going to start and it's going to be okay. Yeah, it makes me feel better about it. And I've never really felt that through organized religion. And we're going to go back to that for a moment because that piece, that like message that you're talking about, I mean, I had it all through my childhood and my own children, putting them through school and doing the church thing, but it's never felt that way for me ever. I've never really felt that connection. So if it's something that I've not done or done differently or whatever the case may be, it kind of doesn't really matter right now. But I'm thinking that I feel like it's going to be okay.
It will be okay.
Yeah.
It all works out in the end. It all does.
I just don't want to end up like being, like walking across coals because I'm a pretty decent person. I don't think I'm going to walk across coals or anything.
You
but,
know what?
Oh, you're going back to that heaven and hell thing.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Girl, I'm going to tell you, there's no coals. There's no coals. If anything, you're going to probably find yourself floating.
Okay, so then, and this is going to be a judgment. I'm acknowledging that from the onset. But like someone who is like a Hitler, do they get to be are they in the same place I am? Or my sibling, my loved ones, whatever. I mean, and do they have a different understanding of what they've done? I mean,
very good question, because there's Hitlers and we also have politicians out there.
Oh, hell yeah.
And we have a lot of people that have done a lot of harm. All these, these
things.
School shooters, and there's just so much. What I understand is that they have a higher understanding of what they did.
Okay.
And all the pain they caused. And that pain that they caused, they then have to experience that. Oh. So I'm going to use a Hitler's example that,
I use him as another example in something. I don't know why I'm obsessed with Hitler, but maybe because it's so...
Well, it's horrific.
Horrific. Yeah, it's so horrific.
So will he be reincarnating very soon? I don't think so.
Probably
I think
not.
he has a lot of healing to do and a lot of understanding. I believe that we get to see how we hurt people. And how, even though maybe it was because I cut somebody off in traffic, and then later on that person got, scared because I cut them off and they took the wrong turn, and then that got them late. You see, it'll be residual.
Snowball effect.
Yeah. And so I'm really big on understanding that, or feeling that's what happens, is that we get to see that our words or our actions can really cause a lot of pain. But also our words and our actions can cause a lot of love.
Yes.
So someone like Hitler, I'm assuming here that they are working very hard with him or with his soul. He may never reincarnate. I mean, I honestly, I don't know if there's room.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But I don't know. I honestly don't know either. When you see the amount of pain and everything that was caused by his actions, really, in his direction, then he's the one I think of. I'm sure there's other dictators in he's an existing one who's so horrific. And it's like, where does that come from? Where does that
Power, greed, that's,
well, it's the narcissism and all of those things, but those are human traits. So
somebody's empowered them.
but who?
Well, those that they stand on a platform of that. You look at our own politicians within the United States. I mean, they have people that tell them what to say and how to act.
Yeah.
And, we could go into a deep thing here, and this is not to stir a pot on, that sort of stuff, but
We'll wait until the election for that one.
yeah, there you go. But I think that you have to have some sort of negative so that the positive can shine out.
Yeah.
So that those that are healing and those that are finding the positive really do win.
Opposition in all things.
Well, there has to be in order for you to appreciate or identify and appreciate the things that are really good.
If everything was wonderful for you, I mean, every
It
day
would all be like a flat line.
Yeah, you wouldn't know what was wonderful. I wouldn't realize that blue sky today outside is so beautiful if I had it every day.
Yeah.
So I think we have to have the diversity. We have to. So
I guess so.
I think it's interesting. We were talking a minute ago about how you never felt that connection when you were talking about the religion thing. And you being Catholic, I grew up Mormon, and yet we both did that with our kids.
Well, I think the
It's so
fundamentals.
conditioned.
I know the fundamentals of the things that are taught to you are really important. I believe, but that can be taught in any religion. Yeah,
or just be taught in life.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's
doesn't
what I
have
know.
to be.
My
Yeah.
mom was almost a flippin' nun, for God's sake. It's like, I guess it was ingrained in me.
It was just a thought as I was listening. I was like, I did the same thing.
And now they're all like agnostic. I've mentioned that before too. Where Andrew,
they'll
my
figure,
oldest,
you know what? They're walking their path. That is all right.
that's what I've told them. I was like, okay,
Absolutely.
you're not going to kill me if you don't get confirmed. I'm okay with it. But like Andrew now, he's the scientific one. He's the one that says, how do you know all those, apostles weren't just drunkard and shit and like writing those books?
They may have been. they could have been.
He's probably right.
Oh,
Except which one was written 100 years later? He was probably drunk on his own. I can't remember which
I
one.
don't know.
You
Whatever.
never know. I mean, there's so many theories, and it's all somebody else's word.
Yeah. So when you're doing these readings, when you do readings independently with people, is it different than when you do it with a group?
When I do, with my work, I do groups, which are typically, I don't know, we'll say up to 15 people. That's a small group. And then a larger gathering is going to be up to like 100. And then there's events that are 100 plus. Also, I do one-on-one or two people. And they all have the same theme. Everything's the same. I'm going to, my intention is to bring a loved one through or have somebody from the spirit world communicate with them. That's the intention. So, but with the groups, I tend to find that I teach a little bit. I'm always trying to teach people how they can do this and how they can be aware. And I feel like that's part of with my work is that it's kind of pushed me in that direction that, maybe I am teaching a little bit, the teacher in me.
The teacher.
Yeah.
Mom says you're a teacher.
Yeah. But it's what has happened to me in the last couple of years with the readings is that I had a feeling there's something more for me to do. Now, for a while there, I thought maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this anymore because my clients were very, very needy. So I was like, am I supposed to be doing this? Maybe I need to go back and serve coffee at some shop somewhere and just talk about yesterday's news. Mm-hmm. And I knew that doesn't thrill me. There's nothing about that makes me want to move forward. So I have found, about 2 years ago, I met a group of people and it was just intuitively how we all came together, and we have just finished our first season of a film. And the name of our film is called Past, but Present. So that's PASSED, but present. And we will have that out available. And it'll be in the fall of 2023. And just in a snippet here, these shows are about this. Well, it's about myself. They bring me to locations that I have no idea where I'm at. Meaning I know I'm probably in the state of Colorado, or I'm in the state of Maine, or I'm in the state of New Mexico, but I have no idea what city or what town or what village I'm in. And then I will get a feeling that I know we need to stop the car, or they'll bring me to a place and go, okay, this is where we're going to go. And then I just start to invite the spirit world in. I give them a simple prayer of like, I'm so grateful. I'm appreciative that you're going to allow me to use your voice today. I ask those that I can validate and verify your history, your legacy through some sort of, maybe a museum or a library or through somebody that can verify all this. And then I will say, be loud, be clear, be correct, and let's go. Let's have fun. I always ask them to make me laugh. And then when you guys watch this, you'll see I'm nearly running. I'm being pushed and I'm physically like my head, they're pulling me to go to locations.
Wow.
So it's a different way of doing mediumship. It's touching into the history. Some of the history is people that had died, a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them was 500 years ago.
And you don't know till you get there.
I don't know anything. In fact, the crew doesn't even validate anything because the investigators are going as fast as they can. They're writing notes down and Googling everything I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then they set up the appointments to do maybe somebody that can talk with somebody that can validate it. So I don't know a lot until we do what's called a reveal. And by the time the reveal happens, I remember nothing. So anytime I have a reading, I'm involved with it, immersed into it during the time. But when I walk away within an hour, I have no idea what I shared with you.
Yeah.
And so when I run into people and they're like, oh, you did this. And I'm like, how do I even know you?
Yeah.
So I have a lot of disclaimers that I'm out and, my husband will go, they're staring at you. And I'm like, they probably are.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are.
Bobby, he's so sweet.
He is. He's a good guy.
He's
my
a good
balance.
Egg. He's
Yeah.
your balance. Yeah.
That's so cool though, because the person though will remember that forever. It leaves you, but then for that person who experienced it.
I love that you say that because I myself had mediumship readings long before I even knew this is what my abilities were. And I've always been just drawn to something. And I thought, why am I drawn to this? Why, people, this is weird. Well, now I don't think it's weird. I realize now, I've always had a love for history. There's stuff I want to know more about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that, but I have to share something. This is on the cutting edge. This is brand new that's happening with me, is that I have been investing probably up to the last 6 months. I've been immersing myself into schools and classes and courses. And I have found something that I can barely even say it. I'll probably start bawling, but I'm going to start my own, and I'm going to call it a clearinghouse because I don't know what that word is at this point, but I will have other people working for me that we will be helping finding missing people. And those that have been murdered, to find out who murdered them and just to find out all of that.
That's kind of stuff that you have dabbled in, like police have called you and stuff before.
Yeah. So yeah, I've done that a little bit in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
But now I'm being honed on specific things. And so I'd like to teach that, hopefully this fall of 23, teach other people that are interested in finding and helping and locating people that have gone missing or they're murdered or kidnapped or whatever. Yeah.
Giving them some closure.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. I know wherever, if they have passed, the missing is passed, I know they're all right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it's us that are still here that grieve, that heavy grief of not knowing.
Stuck.
It's a little torturous, actually.
Oh, I can't even imagine being a parent and not knowing where my child is at.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on currently, and more to be revealed about that. But we also have a movie coming out about that, and it's called Chasing the Truth.
Okay.
So that'll be more of 2024 that I'll be working real cases and working with the police.
So exciting.
Yeah.
So the one that's coming out this year, will it be on like Hulu or Netflix or any of those places?
So I'm not exactly sure who's going to pick it up. We have to... Oh, see, I'm not the marketer person on this, but we have to market it or sell it. And then somebody then buys it from us. So the individual that's doing this, he's won 8 Emmys.
Oh, wow.
So he's already really...
He's the right guy.
He's amazing. His name's Robert Lyon. He's just incredible. He's got such an eye for the visual. But I do need someone to do my makeup because I look a hot mess on these films. I'm sweating like yesterday's news, and oh boy.
She's devilware.
Not
Eileen.
Yeah.
So be kind to me when you see me go, oh boy, she's having a bad day. Oh yeah, I probably was. I'm also known as the bitch medium. And I own that name with a crown on my head because there are certain things that I will zero tolerate or have zero tolerance for when I'm working with the spirit world. I mean, if they have an opportunity to talk and this is the only time they get to talk and somebody else is disrespecting them, how dare them? And I will be the first one to call you out. And my crew will be the first to let you know they've got a few stories.
Oh, I bet.
And I'm going to tell you, I apologize when I need to, but I really still very strong on this. There's some things we do not do.
And some of it might just be education too. They just don't know, right?
Yeah, there's some things that I just feel like a lot of people have control issues.
Yeah.
And so they'll want to control the situation in a way they think it should be, when in reality, they have no control over it. I don't have control over it.
I was just going to say,
that's the
there
key right
can't be
there.
any control there.
Yeah, but people will have like, okay, we have to start at this time, we end at this time. And I've got to a place now that we'll start when we start. If this didn't work today, it was going to work the way it need to. I mean,
Right.
and that's hard because you guys know we came from a corporate world that, we had certain calls at a certain time, certain thing, a lot of deadlines.
Say
And-
this, can't say this, do this,
Oh, my-
this time, got to be here, got to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. This is so opposite. There was such a learning curve of just letting that go of,
I bet.
yeah. But when you do get to that authentic place and I don't know, it feels better. It feels good.
I like being on no timeline. That's. Am I retired? No, I'm not. But I like being on no timeline. So what you're talking about, I think is actually very true, because there are things, especially like with podcasting, we have made the decision that we want to do it more free flowing. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Just us being here and having a conversation and chatting, and maybe keeping, not this particular case, but in some cases, depending on the topic, we would, kind of keep it flowing. But it just makes it so much more enjoyable to learn about different things or to discuss different things if you don't feel like you've got to stop and start with something else.
That's sort of with life. If you find that thing to flow, and as a medium working with the spirit world, is you've got to be in the flow.
Yeah,
For
There
sure.
can't be a stop and a start. It's like, well, I also believe that the spirit world brings my clients to me. They're the ones who will put the people in front of me or the situations, and I get the choice, the free will of how I respond. I can show up, or I can say, no, I don't want to do this.
Have there been a lot of situations where you felt like this isn't the right fit for me when people have asked you
Yes.
to?
Yes.
And
That sounded like
is it a
Nordstrom.
feeling? Is it a what?
That sounded like Nordstrom, not the right fit.
It did sound Nordstrom-y.
Anyways.
I don't even know how else to say it. But anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And how do you,
I'll know
what's
it.
the feeling that you have when you know that that's not the right?
I almost feel like I get anxiety, like
Really?
something's not right. And then I'll start to go, okay, I don't have time for this. And I know my husband's my bounce off on everything, and he'll go, don't do it.
Really?
And I'll go, but I said I was going to. He says, don't do it. I'll get very, very worked up, and I don't. And that's my clue. You're
Okay.
not to do this. You're not to do
That's
it.
kind of like, I'm not going to say anything in life, but to your point,
It
and
is.
based around a lot of the things we've talked about, paying attention to feelings and how you're feeling about something, someone, someplace, and if you should be giving your time to that or being there and
But is that-
investing in that.
Is that feeling there because you're trying to avoid something? So that's where in the back of my mind, I'm coming in going,
Jules, you and your
What?
questions.
I know. I'm very,
What if, but some people don't know how to feel. They don't know what feelings are. It's
Yeah.
been masked.
Right.
Or they've been told that
Exactly.
that's not real, whatever it is.
or it's not okay to feel
It's
that
not-
way or whatever.
Exactly. And I'll just use myself as an example. I grew up in a family that my mother said, don't cry in front of other people. Don't let other people know you're angry. Don't talk about that. Don't ask for help. Don't
geez.
say you need, and it's still like that with my mother, but I realized that with my spouse now is that it's all right to ask for help, and how wonderful to have somebody support you and help you.
Well, and that's
Wow.
kind of what being married is all about, right? Is having, part of what being married is all about, but is that person's there and they've got your back. So to
Same
your
thing
point,
with a relationship, with a friendship, with a job. It has to feel good.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel good, and y'all are waking up every day and you hate your job, or you get in that rut, you got to shake it up. You got to
Yeah.
be a snow globe.
Michelle, you're a snow globe.
I want to be a snow globe.
I want to be a snow globe too.
So here we are a couple days later after this recording. And that was something else, huh, Jules?
Oh my gosh. I just love my Jenny. She fills my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a very, very unique experience.
So we actually have more coming your way. We recorded with Jen for a couple, 2 or 3 hours actually. And so there's a whole nother episode coming, and it will actually have a little bit more in depth with the readings and definitely more information that she's sharing with us as well. But out of all of this, Michelle has decided to be a snow globe, which is good.
Shake it up.
Shake it up, baby. We wanted to just close this out and let everybody know how excited we are to bring another episode to you with Jennifer Brazier. And if you have listened to this and if you wanted to get a little bit more in depth with her website and some of the details behind the work that she does, you can reach out at jenniferbrazier.com.
We'll have links in our bio that you can access as well.
That sounds great. Well, until next time.
And you're going to want to be here next time. So make sure you tune in next week for the second half of this episode.
Definitely.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.